Ooh, so close. I wasn't sure if I was going to boom or anything then. And good afternoon, good evening, and good night, and welcome to today's episode of the Law News and Laughter podcast. I lost my place. I'm your host, Aussie Overlaw'd, an attorney from Melbourne, Australia, who is currently enjoying Labor Day, a nice little holiday that is purely just for the state today, which I feel sorry for the rest of Australia having to go and do some work, but tis what it is. I'm a Aussie larrikin who generally cannot keep his mouth shut and enjoys entertaining you with weird news stories and occasionally a little bit of legal know-how. So things that I will not be talking about today: a Hall County Sheriff's Officer had an unexpectedly close call. Use your words, Hayden. Breathe. We're good. A sheriff's deputy had an unexpectedly close call after being charged by an alligator. A Texas woman has been arrested after her son's alleged bully was sent to the hospital after she mixed lemon, salt, and vinegar into a sports drink in order to prevent her son's drink from being stolen by bullies. Never a good idea. Just stick to the added ingredients that are already likely going to kill your child at some point if you continue to feed them the sports drinks. Just keep up with that, okay? The teenager accused of stabbing Australian woman Emma Lovell 2 years ago has pled guilty to murder, and a charity shop in the UK has had to put an "I'm not creepy" sign on a vintage doll in order to ease some tensions with the local community. That one I thought was a little bit weird because, why exactly is it that you can't exactly stick a sign on something like Annabelle and go, yeah, it's fine, it looks creepy, but we get that it's been returned a few times because people think it's haunted, but here's a sign that says it's not creepy, so it's okay to buy it. Yeah, no. Angel sighting. Yeah. For those of you that are new or that do not get the reference, $50 worth of super chats and all memberships, and the Labracadabra cam gets turned on. Things we will be talking about today: 2 clowns get into a fight about a protest. One pulls a rubber chicken, the other one pulls a double-barrel shotgun. That one will be interesting. Firefighters had to battle a large fire at a cannabis operation in downtown Los Angeles. And we've had an update in the golf cart bride murder case. We're going to have a look at that. California could ban decaf coffee under a new ruling that is alleged to outlaw a particular potentially carcinogenic chemical. And a criminal justice advocate has been arrested after a human torso was found in his New York City apartment. And finally, Pornhub is suing the European Union, apparently about content rules. So sit back, relax, and let's get stuck into the weird and wacky world that I've got to stop doing this. I've got to stop pre-planning that. It's better when it's off the cuff. So sit back, relax, and let's get stuck into the weird and wacky world that is Law News and Laughter. Let's get stuck into it, people, shall we? Because I'm a little bit off. This is what happened. I spent what 4 or 5 days covering the What the Hale stuff, and I've really got myself out of my own usual routine. I suppose the after party on Saturday was a little bit. It was unexpected, but it was Friday. I'm losing it. I'm losing myself. Anyway, let's get stuck into it. Welcome to Law News and Laughter, people. I got so excited about not boomering any of the video stuff for the intro, making sure that I didn't repeat the kangaroo starting soon and all that sort of stuff. And I managed to boomer myself. This is what happens. You get stuck in your own head, But anyway, starting off, a US woman is suing her parents for stealing money that was meant for her university fees. An American woman recently made a shocking discovery about her university funds. Turns out that her parents used the money to pay for her brother's wedding and is understandably furious. I'm curious to see exactly what the beneficial entitlement is here. For anyone that's new, I read these things and comment as I go. I don't prejudge. Everything's off the cuff, basically. And what I'm curious about here is whether or not, of course it is. It's a Reddit post. It's probably something on, am I the asshole or am I in the wrong, whatever else. But I'm curious to see whether or not it was actually her money, whether it was money that her parents alleged allegedly going to be set aside for her, or if it was left, say, by grandparents, something like that. With the head fuck. Aussie Overlaw'd with the head fuck that the judge did with the what the hell stuff. Yeah. Neither one's a good investment. Should have went on vacation instead. Yeah, quite possibly. Men that have trouble talking have tongues. Can neither confirm nor deny. Favored child syndrome? Yeah, I mean, look, it's going to come down to exactly how this pans out. Let's get into it, shall we? In our culture, education for women is not really valued, and she thought that was bullshit, she posted. Hey, ooh, so what's her background? Upon graduating, the anonymous poster tried to access the money left for her and her sister. Wait, what? I skipped a sentence. According to the post she shared on Reddit, the woman's great aunt had set up a savings account for the family's female relatives to support their education. Okay. That's a little bit different because that's something where she may have a legitimate contractual beneficial entitlement to. That would be what was called a discretionary trust, where whoever is in charge of it has a discretion to dish it out to any number of specific beneficiaries, but it's for a specific purpose. And from the sounds of it, paying for a brother's wedding is not included in that. Purple burglar alarm? No, I can say purple burglar alarm. That's fine. Upon graduating, she tried to access the money. After confronting her parents about the missing funds, they admitted that they had accessed the account, claiming they needed the money for their son's wedding. Oh, that's a strike one. Unsurprisingly, the betrayal caused a great deal of conflict within the family, especially after the daughter decided to sue her parents for the money that was left for her. Curiously, I'm not sure whether or not she would necessarily have standing to sue the parents. Whoever the trustee is of those funds would, but the daughter's beneficial entitlement, although I suppose it's crystallized at that point, hasn't it? Because at that stage, she's already incurred the cost for her education. So is it reimbursement, or I suppose that even once an invoice is issued and provided by the university, that theoretically it's crystallized and therefore she can demand monetary settlement from it. Yeah. Nicely done. His accent isn't thick enough. Well, you know. Okay, where did I get to? They all think I'm a complete asshole for airing private family business in public and that I'm putting money at her family. Well, clearly they did. Despite facing backlash from her relatives, the woman is standing firm. Her brothers offered to pay for her university expenses if she dropped the lawsuit, but she refused the offer without a legally binding contract. Why would you agree to withdraw if there was not settlement terms in place? Yeah, no. I said that he should not have accepted my money for his wedding. It's causing all kinds of embarrassment in our community. I'm somewhat ashamed to be doing this, but I don't want to have this debt that I should not have, she added. Reddit users have rallied behind her, condemning the parents' actions as theft. Yeah. And encouraging her to pursue legal recourse. They recognized her courage in challenging societal norms and reclaiming control over her future, with one person writing, "Your aunt took control and paved her way through that culture. You were doing the same. Good luck." Nuclear Acorn dropping a super chat. Appreciate that. The life of the wife was ended by the knife. She sells seashells. Buy down the seashore. Down by the seashore. Damn it. Wim, hello. Kathy Trout, hello. Yes, if you hit the like button. I mean, most of you would only be here because you got the notification because you're subbed. So, maybe just hit that like button. Let's get us off early. I would like to make it into triple digits on the likes if we can for a regular show. Where are we? Oh no, that should have been the end of the article. So that's fine. Look, so this is an interesting setup because clearly this is something that was left in trust by her great aunt. I'm surprised that the parents had access to it at all, unless either the mother or the father are the trustees of those funds, or they're nominated on the account, in which case they've breached trustee fiduciary duties as well. They have a duty to each individual beneficiary or the class of beneficiaries as to the discretionary beneficiaries under that. So yeah, she's got every right to sue them theoretically, provided she can show that she has incurred damages, which if she's already got an invoice from the university or can otherwise show that her debt has crystallized, then yeah, she's got every right to sue them. How many fucks could an Aussie lawyer give if an Aussie lawyer could give a fuck? Oops, wrong button. So no, I think this is why you've got to be careful, and this is why, particularly when people are setting up these sorts of structures, you need to be careful. Everything needs to be properly documented. If it's purely just a great aunt set up a bank account and said to, say, family members, this money is to be used to ensure that the females in the family receive education, that's problematic. Because at the very least, whenever there is finances involved in family, make sure everything is documented. Your phone says ducks. Well, the rain in Spain falls mainly on the plain. Now you're just taking the piss. But no, these are the sorts of cases where people need to be careful with what they're doing, especially with the way that you structure things, especially with how it's, if it's intended for individuals, ensure that it's going to go to those individuals. Because if it was purely just a bank account where, although it may have been espoused by the great aunt that it was supposed to be for educational purposes, if they've only specified that verbally to the family, then it's the parents' words if they're the trustees of the funds against anybody else. Or more to the point, it's the trustees' word against anybody else. Because at any point, the great aunt, they could argue that the great aunt said, oh no, well, before she passed, she said this to us. So this is how it in effect is. So, no, fuck off, Marty. Go play your Fortnite. I'm pissed. This will piss him off. Red leather, yellow leather, red, yellow leather. You got me. Red leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather, which writes switch watches. What? In the past, parents pay for the bride's wedding, not for the groom. Exactly. There is that too. I would say that it's dependent on the actual, on which culture they're in. Because obviously in certain institutions, it's still a thing to provide a dowry for both male and female. And only a 529 account is for a post-secondary education, cannot be touched by anyone other than the student. There you go. Got him twice. I hope you're proud of yourself, Bush. Trust is a must so you don't end up busted and fussed. Exactly. And you know what? Given that I haven't had much caffeine at all today, I'm just going to crack one of these. There we go. Because I got this when I went out with little Overlaw'd this morning, who, if you haven't already seen it, made her debut on Locals. Catch it while you can, because I didn't realize that I'm on a tier where I can't actually download that to edit it. So I'm actually going to have to delete it. But Lady Overlaw'd and Little Overlaw'd both have expressed that they want to start spending more time on stream and they want to be more involved in the channel, which I think is going to be great. I might have to behave a little bit more, but if the glove don't fit, you must have quit. Shit. If the account is drained, you must be arraigned. I like that one. I'm not a feather plucker. I'm a feather plucker's son. Okay. Rubber baby buggy bumpers. Rubber baby buggy bumpers. Rubber baby buggy bumpers. Rubber baby buggy bumpers. I may have, don't show your kids, dude. There's way too many freaks. Yeah, look, I agree with you on that, Boosh, and I did my best for the last almost 2 years to keep her off the stream. I got overruled. It was 2-1, although as far as I'm concerned, the kids didn't get a vote, but Lady Overlaw'd's vote rules for 2 anyway, so. Okay, let's move on, shall we? Because I'm a little bit annoyed by this anyway. Where are we? Oh, check this one out. Google used a black deaf worker to tout its diversity. Now she's suing them for discrimination. Jalen Hall was featured in Google's corporate social media accounts for making #LifeAtGoogle more inclusive. She says that the company discriminated against her on the basis of her disability and race. She saw Sheriff's shoes on the sofa, but she's so sure those were Sheriff's shoes. She's sure she saw what? Mr. Potter got stronger after sipping bottled water. Thank you for the super chat. Okay. Jellen Hall thought that she was being scammed when a recruiter reached out on LinkedIn about a job moderating YouTube videos in 2020, months after earning a master's degree in criminal justice. Really? Her only job had been at a law firm investigating discrimination cases. Ooh, that's dangerous. Okay, Boosh, why did he cheat? You tell me why he cheated and we'll move on from that. No good deed goes unpunished. Nope. Why would you hire someone that investigates discrimination cases, though? This is part of the problem with the whole DEI thing. Like, they're playing with fire and they don't get or understand that. At a certain point, you have to realize that the left sort of eats the left, and eventually your own tail is going to catch on fire worse than a Charmander. A skunk sat on a stump. The stump sunk. Okay, you got me with that one. A skunk sat on a stump. The stump thunked. The skunk stunk. The skunk thunked. The stump stunk. He intentionally misspelled it to trip you up. Oh, I thought the shore was weird. Anyway. But the offer was real, and Hall, who is black and deaf, sailed through the interviews. She would be part of a new in-house moderation team of about 100 people called Wolverine. Trudging through daily freezing weather to offices in suburban Detroit during the early pandemic, when she accepted the job, the recruiter said via email that a sign language interpreter would be provided and could be fully accommodated. Somebody tell me how this is not just virtue signaling. You are literally having someone who is deaf watch YouTube videos. Unless you've got closed caption on, which we all know how the AI manages with that, you miss a whole heap of stuff. Like, once you empower people with agendas, the flames are coming your way. Pretty much. It's Aussie having a 404 error. Occasionally. When she accepted the job, the recruiter said that an interpreter would be fully accommodated. That assurance unraveled within days of joining Google, and her experience at the company has proven difficult in the years since. What? Hall now works on the responsible use of AI at Google. And by all available accounts, is the company's first and only black deaf employee. The company has feted her at events and online as a representative of the workplace, welcoming to all. Google's LinkedIn account praised her last year for helping expand opportunities for the deaf black professionals, while on Instagram, the company thanked her for making life at Google more inclusive. Yet behind the rosy marketing, Hall accuses Google of subjecting her to both racism and autism. Autism, not autism, autism. Google may have been experiencing some autism having done this, but prejudice against the deaf or the hard of hearing. She says the company denied her access to a sign language interpreter and slow-walked upgrades to essential tools. After filing 3 HR complaints that she said yielded little change, Hall sued Google in December. Please tell me that's the court document. There we go. Alleging discrimination based on her race and disability. The company responded this week, arguing that the case should be thrown out on procedural grounds, including bringing the claims too late, but didn't deny her accusations. Google is using me to make them look inclusive for the deaf community and the overall disability community. In reality, they need to do better. You notice how she focused on the deaf and disability thing? Like that's the important part there to her. Blimey, it's my favorite activity. How you doing, Wooksy? I need to actually take a sip of this. I opened it, but I didn't drink any. Hall, who was in her 30s, has stayed at Google in the hopes of spurring improvements for others. She chose to talk with Wired despite fearing for her safety. To be fair, it's a lot easier for an assassin to sneak up on someone that's deaf. And her job prospects, but she feels the company has ignored her. I was born to push through hard times, she said. It would be selfish to quit Google. I'm standing in the gap for those that are often pushed aside. Hall's experiences, which have not been previously reported, are corroborated by over 24 internal documents seen by Wired, as well as interviews with 4 colleagues she confided in and worked alongside. Oh, Burberry's dropping a membership. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Yes, you are. You very much are, Boosh. Where are we? Sneak up, and you don't need to be a ninja. Hey, Corn Pope. I'm alright. I can't complain. It's not bad for a Monday afternoon. It's a public holiday here, so I'm doing the stream at the time that I have the last couple of days. For those of you that are joined from the What the Hail stuff that I've been doing recently, my usual time is a little bit earlier in the night, like a few hours. I sort of did this one today because I didn't want to run into the Hales live stream, but at the same time, I had some things I had to deal with this morning with the family, so this won't be the usual time going forward, just so you're aware. You're coming with me because you understood that. You realize that, right? Oh, yeah. Don't worry. If I get there first, I'll save your seat. There has more legal grounds and lack of accommodation with the deaf argument. Look, I agree with that, but I think it's... I think they've deliberately avoided that for specific reasons as well. Here's a homegrown one. What the... What? That's like trying to pronounce that word, the one in like Welsh, the town, and the guy just rattles it off. Mamunka kumba pororang kunjunya hill. Okay, I will trust you on that. Hey Jude, how you doing? Tried to sneak up behind her, but there's not that much gas in my car. That's bad. Judging by the weather, we might already be there. That's a good point, Brewberries. For anyone that doesn't know as well, it's ridiculously hot right now. This is the third day in a row where we've been around the 95 mark, really. So, that's it. That one's in South Australia. Yikes. That's the one. That's the one that I cannot pronounce, and I'm never going to even remotely attempt. Okay, so this is the deaf black lady that is suing for discrimination from Google, basically. Employees who are black or disabled are in tiny minorities at Google, a company of nearly 183,000 people that has long been criticized for an internal culture that heavily favors people who fit tech industry norms. You mean pasty-ass white guys that usually come from their mother's basements? Or come in their mother's basements? Google's deaf and hard of hearing employee group has 40 members. Excuse me, and black women, who make up only about 2.4% of Google's US workforce, leave the company at a disproportionately higher rate than women of other races, company data showed last year. And you meant to have more heat on the way. Oh, don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. Several former black women employees, including AI research Timothy Gebru, and recruiter April Christina Curley, have publicly alleged that they were sidelined by an internal culture that disrespected them. Curley is leading a proposed class action lawsuit accusing Google of systemic bias, but has lost initial court battles. Google spokesperson Emily Hawkins didn't directly address Hall's allegations when asked about them by Wired. We are committed to building an inclusive workplace and offer a range of accommodations to support the success of our employees, including sign language interpreters and captioning. Well, as someone that utilizes YouTube and Google fairly frequently, you need to work on the captioning. I'm just saying, okay? Which reminds me, sorry people, this is probably going out live on Rumble, and I just realized I did not have the stream up. There you go, I did boomer something. Not just my own opening, so... Slidey Pie, how you doing? Waiting for it to warm up here next week. It's supposed to be in the 70s. Damn. Where are we? I like how Kathy Trout paid you, but she's earning her keep. She absolutely is. Like, I'm sitting here going, damn, Kathy's doing more than most of my mods ever did. You can actually sound this one out. Sans nosebleed. Liluminai lekatariba lamina chai ekbat disabat. Do I need to look around for demons that you may have just had me summon, or what? Like, what? Mark Takano, who represents a slice of Southern Carolina, California. What? Who represents a slice of Southern California in the U.S. House and co-chairs the Congressional Deaf Caucus, says that Google has an obligation to lead the way in demonstrating that its technology and employment practices are accommodating. When deaf and hard of hearing employees are excluded because of the inability to provide an accessible workplace, there is a great pool of talent that is left untapped and we all lose out. I call bullshit. I have always been, look, and this comes both as a lawyer and as someone that runs his own business. Having employed people, as far as I'm concerned, it is always and always should be the best person for the job is the one that should be employed. Not necessarily one that has to have accommodations made for them. If it is going to cause any sort of detriment to the business, then I believe that they have a legitimate right to say, no, this person is not a right fit. If it's going to cost them 1 cent to employ somebody, aside from their regular remuneration, getting paid for being there, then I think it is entirely up to the business to decide that for themselves. I'll say interesting that it's just women complaining. Is it just that men get on with it, or that they didn't hire them in the first place? That's actually a good question. Aussie just raised the dead, maybe. Lilo Dallas multipass. With all the tech today, you can provide your own accommodation. That's pretty much it. Just think of some of the racehorse names. Hal was born with a profound bilateral sensorineural hearing loss. Sensorineural hearing loss. Meaning that even with hearing aids, her brain cannot process sounds well. 2 separate audiologists in memos to Google said Hall needs an American Sign Language interpreter full-time. She also signs pre- and post-segregation Black ASL. When did that... You wouldn't hire a whore to be Virgin Mary. That's bad. That's bad. But of course I've seen The Fifth Element. When did sign language have race introduced? When did that happen? That's news to me. Black ASL sideways and thrown up. That's bad. Oh, that's bad. It's fine. J. Fruth, we're all going to hell here. Sign language, ebonics, it's a made-up thing. Black ASL, which uses 2 more hand signs and incorporates some African-American vernacular. During her childhood in Louisiana, Hall's parents pushed her into speech therapy and conventional schools, where she found that some people doubted that she was deaf because she can speak. What? They just said that if she can hear some sounds with the aid of hearing aids, maybe she can learn the sounds, but what? There's many more regional sign languages. Okay. I know very little about sign. You know what I learned from sign language? That's it. And that was from paying attention to the Anderson trial. It's got words like for shizzle, the N-word, and weave. Oh, if there was ever a time for me to play that Donald Duck, the Continent of Australia is an elaborate internet hoax. Ooh, someone's looking to get banned. If I identify as Helen Keller, can I get a job at Google? Deaf people being able to vocalize isn't unusual. It's like different levels of blindness. No, I get that. But from the way that they were talking about this in this instance, they made it sound as if even using hearing aids and cochlear implants and that sort of thing, that she was unable to interpret sounds. So it was like, how do you train her to... How would she train herself to use words if she's unable to actually hear them herself? But I suppose if they said that it made it difficult, so maybe over time she's built up the ability to use the sounds. So... Don't spit the dummy, mate. Acorn, you're really trying hard with the Australianisms, aren't you? Like, I appreciate it. I really do. But you're trying hard, aren't you? All right, where are we? Push it up. She later attended a high school for deaf students where she became homecoming and prom queen and realized how much more she could achieve when provided the appropriate level of support. Hall expected to find a similar environment at Google when she moved to Farmington Hills, Michigan to become a new content moderator. Excuse me. The company contracts ASL interpreters from a vendor called Deaf Services of Palo Alto, or DSPA. But though Hall had been assigned to enforce YouTube's child safety rules, I'm sorry, what now? She's the one that was in charge of making sure that the Peppa Pig episodes where they stick a syringe in Peppa's ass were removed. Okay. Moving on. I'm gonna let that slide. I'm gonna leave that one alone. Managers wouldn't let her interpreters help her review that content. Google worried about exposing contractors to graphic imagery and cited confidentiality concerns, despite the fact that interpreters in the US follow a code of conduct that includes confidentiality standards. Managers transferred Hall into training to screen for videos spreading misinformation about COVID and the elections. Oh, so this is the bitch that struck my video last year. Huh. She developed a workflow that saw her default to using lip reading and automated transcriptions to review videos and turn to her interpreter if she needed further help. The transcriptions on videos used in training were high quality, so she had very little trouble. Her system fell apart in January 2021, about 20 minutes into one of her first days screening new content. The latest video in her queue was difficult to make sense of using lip reading, and the AI transcriptions in the software YouTube built for moderators was of poor quality or even absent for recently uploaded content. She turned to her interpreter's desk a few feet away, but to her surprise, it was empty. I was going to say, do you mind coming to listen to this, she recalls. She rose to ask a manager about the interpreter's whereabouts. He told her that he and his fellow managers had decided that she could no longer have an interpreter in the room because it threatened confidentiality of the team's work. That's some bullshit. Some deaf people also use sound vibration to learn to speak along with hearing aids. Oh, no shit. Thank you for informing me. You learn new things every day. Anything to slow down productivity in a below kinetic warfare is a win to the globalists. Blaming the AI means that they can just go, meh, it's in development. Fair call. She can now only talk with her interpreter during breaks or briefly bring them in to clarify policies with managers. She was told to skip any video she couldn't judge through sight alone. Feeling wronged and confused by the new restrictions, she slumped back into her chair. US law requires that companies provide reasonable accommodations to a disabled worker unless it would cause the employer significant difficulty or expense. This was not a reasonable accommodation, she says. I was thinking, what did I get myself into? Do they not believe that I am deaf? I need my interpreter all day. Why are they robbing me of my chance to do my job? Yeah, I'm not okay with that. Without her interpreter, she struggled. She rarely met the quota of 75 videos each moderator was expected to review over an 8-hour day. She often had to watch through a video in its entirety, sometimes more than an hour, before concluding that she could not assess it. I felt humiliated, realizing that I would not grow in my career. Throughout that February, she spoke to managers across YouTube about the need for better transcriptions in the moderation software. Yes, please, that would be amazing. While some of the transcriptions that YouTube does automatically are hilarious and makes them for some very good content for me, on my own channel, I'd very much appreciate if you could understand basic English. I know my Australian accent can make for some horrible down understanding stuff, and it really puts some of the transcription software off. But, mate, I'm sure you can take a wazzer up the wazoo and make sure you get the transcription right, you know? Like, oh my God. Oh, good. Laurel got a gifted sub. Congratulations. Why do farts smell so deaf people can enjoy them too? Oh, no. Hang on. We got to tell the joke. Little old lady walks into the doctor's office and she says, Doctor, I need you to help me. I'm farting constantly. There's no smell and there's no sound, but I know that they're terrible. Doctor writes her out a script and says, okay, here, take these pills, come back in a week. And she says, okay, all right. Comes back to the doctor in the next week. And she says to the doctor, Doctor, this is horrible. I'm farting constantly, but now they stink. And the doctor looks at him and says, okay, so we fixed your sense of smell. Now we need to work on your hearing. least you're not from New Zealand. Well, we're not starting on the sheep shagger jokes. Given the Oscars' recent ratings, I wouldn't say everyone saw him. Saw who? John Cena showed up at the Oscars completely naked. I did see that. I chose not to cover it. At least Paul's and Thunder got a laugh out of that. Where are we? They told her it would take weeks or more to improve the software, possibly even years. She asked for a transfer to child safety since she had heard from a colleague that visuals alone could be used to decide many of those videos. A HR complaint filed that spring led nowhere. Black and disabled colleagues eventually helped secure Hall a transfer into Google's responsible AI and human-centered technology division in July 21. It's run by Vice President Marion Croak, Google's most distinguished black female technical leader. Hall says Croak supported her and described what she had been through as unacceptable, but even in the new role, her interpreter was restricted to non-confidential conversations. Okay, one, why is it so difficult to just not hire an in-house interpreter? I mean, surely if you're contracting it, you know... Didn't you know us Aussies are aliens? Yeah, well. Just hire an internal... Crocodile. See, this is what I'm saying. If it's an imposition on the company, she shouldn't have been hired in the first place, as horrible as that sounds. Because if she can't do her job with reasonable accommodations, which from the sounds of it, includes an actual interpreter to be there to help her, then she was not fit for the position in the first place. Hire her for a position that she can actually do. That's why I can understand it. Okay, gotcha. Hall says the discrimination against her has continued under her new manager, who is also black, leading to her exclusion from projects and meetings. Even when she's present, some co-workers don't make much effort to include her. My point of view is often not heard. That's bad. In 2021, she joined 2 gatherings of Google's Equitable AI Research Roundtable, an advisory body, but then wasn't invited again. I feel hidden and pushed aside, she said. Oh, that's why it can't. Marco V. My dog just farted. Fair enough. She ticked all the boxes. Yeah, that's basically what it is. And now they're getting sued for it. People truly don't take the time to learn about their peers, the interpreter says. One of the interpreters who assisted Hall say that the friction deaf workers encounter is sadly unsurprising. The allegations are notable in part because of the civil rights audit Google commissioned found last March that it needs to do more to train managers. One of the largest areas of opportunity improving managers' ability to lead is to lead a diverse workforce. Attorneys for Wimmer Hale said. You need 2 people for 1 job. That's a sound business move. That's what I'm saying. That is what I'm saying. If she legitimately is unable to do the work herself with reasonable accommodations being made, which it sounds like they could make slightly more reasonable accommodations. Like it sounds like they could have transferred her to an area where it was purely based on visuals in the kids area. But if you're going to hire her purely for diversity, equity, and inclusion, put her in a job that she can actually do. If it's at a point where she's unable to do the work without the intervention of a second individual, that to me is an unreasonable accommodation. You shouldn't have to hire or source out a full-time interpreter for her to be able to do her job. That is unreasonable in my opinion. So I don't think there are any winners in this circumstance. I think they're both in the wrong here, frankly. Guy gets a checkup. The doctor comes in and says, I have bad news and worse news. The guy says, well, give it to me straight, doc, and says, well, you have cancer. The man looks depressed. Oh, God, he says. Oh, I'm guessing that got cut off. It's a ploy to promote the disabled to government so they're more easily controlled. See, now I just want the end of Bush's joke. Where are we? Hall says that when she had access to an interpreter, they rotated throughout the week, forcing her to repeatedly explain some technical concepts. Google is going the cheap route, she claims, saying her interpreters in university were more literate in tech jargon. Kathy Kaufman, more bad news, we found out you have Alzheimer's. Well, at least I don't have cancer, he says. Oh, that's bad. That's bad, Bush. Kathy Kaufman, Director of Coordinated Services at DSPA, says it pays above market rates, dedicates a small pool to each company so the vocabulary becomes familiar, hires tech specialists and train those who are not. Kaufman also declined to confirm that Google is a client or comment on its policies. Google's Hawkins says that the company is trying to make improvements. When are they not? Google's accommodations team is currently seeking employees to join a new working group to smooth over policies. Giant rock, problem, rock on top, smooth it over with concrete, just pretend it never happened. And procedures related to disabilities. Besides Hall's concerns, deaf workers over the past 2 years have complained about Google's plans have been shelved for now. The plans shelved for now to switch away from DSPA without providing assurances that a new interpretation provider would be better, according to a former Google employee speaking on the condition of anonymity. Disabled trans criminals are other government. Okay. Where are we? Blind employees have to have human guides they rely on excluded from internal systems due to confidentiality concerns in recent years. And they have long complained that key internal tools, like a widely used assignment tracker, are incompatible with screen readers, according to a second former employee. Hey, Sanglant, how you doing? Advocates for disabled workers try to hold out hope but are discouraged. The premise that everyone deserves a shot at every role rests on the company doing whatever it takes to provide accommodations. That's what I'm saying. I'm sorry. At some point, you have to look at the practicality and the reasonableness of it. Not everybody can have a crack at every role. Could an individual in a wheelchair work as someone that has to transport massive pallets of concrete around a work site? Could someone that is, well, I suppose someone that's blind could operate, a train or something. Could a mute be employed as a soprano? Could they be an opera singer? At some point, you have to look at the practicality and the reasonableness of it. That sounded like what the Aussie police do to stuff. Yeah. Madonna asked a fan to stand up before realizing they were in a wheelchair. That's what that was? No shit. I saw that too. Sure, mutes can off people. You can't tell. No. There are jobs for everybody out there. For example, deaf people can become mimes. Yes, I know that's horrible. Streamlabs only has very certain things that it tells people to do, Kathy. And I specifically turned off the thing that from last Friday. I might bring that back next drinking stream just to have a bit of fun, but just curious, why can't the interpreters sign an NDA about their work? That's my other thing. I don't think this is about the confidentiality. I think they're using it as an excuse. To me, this is a cost-saving measure because a external employee signing an NDA would be just as binding as an employee signing something similar. If the word's going to get out, it's going to get out, whether it's an employee or whether or not it's an external contractor. It's purely just, this to me stinks to high heaven as a cost-saving measure. You're too young, we can't elope. That's bad. Advocates for disability workers. Oh, I got that. Hall has been left to watch his colleagues hired alongside her as content moderators got promoted, probably because they were better able to do the job. More than 3 years after joining Google, she remains a level 2 employee on its internal ranking, defined as someone who receives significant oversight from a manager, making her ineligible for Google peer support and retention programs. Internal data shows that most level 2 employees reach level 3 within 3 years. Last August, she started her own community, the Black Google and Network Deaf Alliance. That almost sounds as bad as Fabio's charity for the victims of goose attacks on roller coasters. Teaching its members sign language and sharing videos and articles about the Black deaf community. This is a hearing world. This is a deaf and hearing. This is the deaf and hearing have to come together. On the responsible AI team, Hall has been compiling research that would help people at Google working in AI services such as virtual assistants understand how to make them accessible for Black deaf communities. In an effort to make all the same, we can no longer identify deficiencies. Those not properly trained as surgeons can now perform surgeries. The blind can now fly planes and the deaf can be DJs. Oh, we're going to talk about, the fact that planes can now be flown by pretty much anybody. That's actually in a news story that I was going to cover later on. But this one's like, I'm not okay with this, shall we say. And I did notice all of a sudden she started that it is for black deaf people. Like she sort of picked and chose. She cherry picked when it was appropriate for her. She personally recruited 20 black deaf users to discuss their views on the future of technology for about 90 minutes in exchange for up to $100 each. Google, which reportedly spent nearly $74 billion in profit last year, would only pay for 13. The project was further derailed by an unexpected flaw in Google Meet, the company's video chat service. Oh. Hall's first interview was with someone who was deaf and blind. The 90-minute call, which included 2 interpreters to help her and the subject converse, went well. But when Hall pulled up the recording to begin putting together her report, it was almost entirely blank. Only when Hall's interpreter spoke did the video include any visuals. The signing between everyone on the call was missing, preventing her from fully transcribing the interview. I won't harass Streamlabs anymore. Caddy said ass. That's funny. So that's why they use those hand signals that make them look like they have palsy. They're just deaf. Oh, Porcelain Thunder. Bad. Bad. Sinbox. That's really bad. The sign between everyone was... Turned out the Google's Meet didn't record video of people who aren't vocalizing even when their microphones are unmuted. That's bad. That is bad. In a meeting between individuals who are sitting there signing so that they can talk to each other, it only records when someone talks. How do you hand side the word ass? I don't know. I'd be curious. I'd be curious to find out. Some dude told me once that he was using sign language. I couldn't see it, but I felt it. Oh, wrong button there. It's like taking blind people to see a magician. Yes, it's your card. It's really neat. You should see what I. Never mind. Oh, this is bad. My heart dropped, she told Wired, using the video chat app Sevo, which allows all participants to see each other while a hearing person and sign language interpreter speak by phone. Excuse me. Just do a video call. Hall spent the evening trying to soothe her devastation, meditating, praying, and playing with her dog, which she is trained in ASL commands. She filed a support ticket and spoke to the top engineer for Google Meet, who said fixing it wasn't a priority. Wired later found evidence that users had publicly reported similar issues for years. Microsoft Teams generally will record signing, but Hall wasn't permitted to use it. She ended up hacking it together hacking might be the wrong word to use there. It's sin bin, not penalty box. Depends whether or not they're Australian or US. I'm pretty sure Porcelain Thunder's in the US. I've started a swear jar. I'll leave the money to my great niece. Oh, there you go. Behave, acorns. Where did I get to? She ended up hacking together a workflow for documenting her interviews by laboriously editing together Meet recordings and screen captured video using tools that she paid $46 a month out of her own pocket for. Company spokesperson Hawkins did not dispute Meet's limitations, but claims support for the deaf community is a priority at Google, where work underway includes developing computer vision software to translate sign language. Google leaders have often paid lip service to the importance of including people with diverse experiences in research and development, but Hall has found the reality lacking. Despite her understanding of the deaf black community and research into its needs, she says that she's yet to be invited to support the sign translation work. What? She's yet to be invited to support the sign translation. Okay. In her experience, Google's conception of diversity can be narrow. In the AI department, a lot of conversations are around race and gender. No one emphasizes disability. Woman, you're emphasizing race. Tell me how the needs of a black deaf person are any different from those of a white deaf person. Deaf is deaf. Blind is blind. Mute is mute. Anyway. Her research showed black deaf users are concerned about the potential for AI systems to misinterpret signs, generate poor captions, take jobs from interpreters, and disadvantage individuals who opt for manual interpretation. It underscored that companies need to consider whether new tools would make someone who is unable to hear feel closer or further from people with whom they are communicating. Hall presented her findings internally last December over a Google Meet call. 24 colleagues joined, including a research director. Hall had been encouraged, including by Croak, to invite a much larger audience from across the company, but ultimately stuck with the shortlist insisted upon by her manager. She didn't even bother trying to record it. Classy. What? Who said that? That's bad. Okay, so here is the lawsuit. Let's have a quick look at this, because I'm curious what the company said in response. And I go, oh, they made a motion to dismiss. Of course they did. All right, where are we? Okay, there ain't much to it because it's all done by hand. So we'll whip through this very quickly. Doxing her because, court documents, although it's freely out there. This action is brought pursuant to Title 7 of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 for employment discrimination. Jurisdiction is conferred on the courts by Title 42. Section 2085, equitable and other relief is sought. The act complained of in this suit concerns failure to promote me or other access provided, failure to provide me with accommodations in content moderation specialist and research analyst role, failure to provide me with training for research analyst role. Defendant's conduct is discriminatory with respect to the following: my race or color and other specified disability. Race and gender are weapons of Satan in the overarching spiritual battle, says Jayfrith. Lol, this reminds me of the user who appeared in Jeff's chat with the username Satan. Jeff was like, oh, hey, Satan's here. Hail Satan. Oh, God, did he really? Oh, that's really bad. That's really bad. See, I'm sorry. As bad as it sounds, this annoys me, though. Nothing about this should include race or color. She should be claiming that it is about the disability, and that is all she should be claiming about. Hang on. Just gotta soothe someone. There you go. Okay. Claim 1, violation of civil rights. The plaintiff, she's actually done really well here. She's written in the subsections and everything. The plaintiff transitioned to the research analyst role in 2021 with no training provided, and their experiences with the manager include autism discrimination, lack of support, and delays in project completion due to insufficient accommodations. If the accommodations are insufficient, and they have to hire a full-time second person to enable the job to be done, I don't believe that to be a reasonable accommodation. That is an unreasonable, unnecessary accommodation. Because, hell, they could just hire the interpreter just to do the job then. What do we want? Equality. I can't hear you. Boosh, that's really bad. Right. The plaintiff sought assistance from the retention department in transferring to an inclusive manager, denying L3 and L4 roles, and plaintiff continue to be... Go to next page. Filed charges with Federal Equal Opportunity Commission regarding the defendant's alleged held back, remaining on the same level of the ladder for the past 3 years and 3 months with no growth opportunity. Maybe you're just bad at your job. Of course, it's all done by hand. They're deaf. Jeff, she can still type. The plaintiff highlights lack of accommodations, inaccurate evaluations, and biases, being passed up for promotion and not being properly evaluated for their current role as a research analyst. The plaintiff highlight the above actions impacting their career growth, which has blocked them from having an equal employment opportunities as of September 2023. By doing the acts described above, which you didn't really describe much at all, the defendant caused and or permitted the violation of the plaintiff's Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA rights, to be free from employment discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, and national origin, thereby entitling the plaintiff to recover damages. I wonder if that's why she's thrown race in there in order to comply with the ADA Act. Sorry, the ADA, because ADA Act is redundant. Comedy and tragedy are not mutually exclusive, unlike race and equality, unfortunately. Why did they not just speak slower and louder? Okay. Thereby entitling the plaintiff to recover damages pursuant to Title 42. The plaintiff, an African-American deaf female. All she really had to add in there was transgender or lesbian, and she had the quintella? The quintella? Alleges that the defendant violated various sections of the ADA by not providing reasonable accommodations during live production work for content moderation specialist roles and transferring her to a department without training. You requested the transfer. This resulted in the plaintiff not having equal opportunities to perform her role due to the removal of her sign language interpreters. By doing the acts described above, the defendant engaged in unlawful employment practices, caused and or permitted the violation of the plaintiff's ADA rights to be free from employment discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, and national origin, thereby entitling the plaintiff to recover damages. Quinella, thank you. She'd have bingo. Poor training and little support from management. Sounds like my job. Too bad I'm able-bodied. Help my mum sue a nursing home for violating the ADA. The pro bono attorney told me I should go to law school if I could research things that quickly. The transfecta. That's bad. What are you doing out of the sin bin? It was on behalf of her sister who was 10 years older. Damn. Plaintiff describes an interaction with the defendant employee in 2021, a machine learning research program manager, during which negative racist comments were made, including characterizing the plaintiff as an aggressive black deaf woman and suggesting that they should keep their mouth shut and take a sale role. I'm not sure. Additionally, the plaintiff details discriminatory behavior from their current manager as of November 22, including the use of non-verbal cues such as eye-rolling and dismissive body language. God help you if you ever actually wind up in some sort of, like... Wait, have you never been in an office before? Like, seriously. Given that is written out, I'm going to say she can't type. Oh, that's bad. Oh, nuclear acorn. That's bad too. Eye-rolling dismissive body language, which created a hostile work environment. Moreover, the defendant consistently excludes the plaintiff from opportunities, meetings, and important discussions based on their race and disability, such as limiting the plaintiff access to professional development opportunities and not assigning them to growing opportunity. The plaintiffs highlight the defendant's evaluation of ladder not aligned with the role, responsibility, and organization, OKR. Also, the exclusion and discrimination towards the Black Deaf community by including only the National Association of Deaf and excluding the National Black Deaf Advocates for Employment Disability Month. What? She could have dictated the report. Oh, never mind. And urges corrective measures to address these issues and provide equal access and opportunity to individuals with disabilities, including those who are Black and deaf. That's exactly what I'm saying. It's irrelevant whether or not they include... If the National Association for the Deaf does not represent Black deaf people, there's a problem. Slidey Pie says an angry Black deaf woman. Could be problematic. Provide equal access and opportunities to individuals with disabilities, including those who are Black and deaf. By doing the acts described above, the defendant caused and or permitted the violation of the plaintiff's Title 7 of the Civil Rights Act to have equal opportunity, thereby entitling to recover a request for relief. The above claims encompass violations of the ADA, Title 7, and the Equal Pay Act, as well as the impact on the plaintiff's career and well-being. Furthermore, the plaintiffs are demanding compensation for compensatory and punitive damages resulting from the discrimination they have experienced. All I'm saying is, for someone that works at Google and is complaining about the situation, she seems to be able to Google things pretty well. They strongly believe that the enforcement policies in the defendant company must be created to ensure that black deaf employees with disabilities are included in the provision of reasonable accommodations under the ADA. This is to ensure further hire of black deaf employees will not be discriminated and have an black employees will not be discriminated and have an equal opportunity, just as other non-black deaf employees with disabilities. Equal Opportunity Commission issued notice of a right to sue letter, copy attached, which was received on 9 September last year. Plaintiff demands a jury trial. Wherefore, plaintiff prays that the court grant such relief as may be appropriate, including injunctive orders, damages, costs, and attorney's fees. The Equal Opportunity Commission issues the following determination. It will not proceed further with its investigation, makes no determination about whether further investigation would establish violations of the statute. This does not mean that claims have no merit. This determination does not certify that the respondent is in compliance with the statutes. The EEOC makes no finding as to the merits of any issues that may have been construed with its findings. This is an official notice from the Equal Opportunity Commission of the dismissal of your charge and your right to sue. If you choose to file a lawsuit against the respondents on this charge under federal law and federal state of court, your lawsuit must be filed within 90 days of your receipt of this notice. Receipt generally occurs on the date that you or your representative view the document. You should keep a record of the date you receive the notice. Digitally signed 26 September. When was this filed? She was right within the 90 days. Oh, that's funny. Scott McGinnis, how you doing, buddy? We could do all these explaining, or people could just be reasonable and modest. That's just not going to happen. Yeah, exactly. Would a jury of peers be made up of deaf jurors? Well, see, it wasn't that long ago when I actually had to do an entire video on what it means to be a jury of your peers, because someone got onto TikTok or YouTube Shorts or something like that and started bitching about how a nurse that was up on negligence claims, I think it was a nurse on negligence claims, but how there was a bus driver on the jury and there was this, that, and the other, and there were a whole bunch of males, and it's like, this is not a jury of her peers. That word does not mean what you think it means. Deaf people are allowed on a jury. Yeah, because surprisingly, the court knows how to make proper accommodations for those sorts of situations. They will have someone sit there and sign out everything that, say, witnesses say giving testimony. I'm not sure how this is going to go, honestly. Hope she wins and owns Google and they change the name to... That's funny. Okay, let me just check that this actually is defendant's notice of motion, a motion to dismiss the plaintiff's claim. Oh, cannot be stuff going the whole way through this. How many pages is it? See, I did not intend to spend as much time on this as I did. Deaf and blind people aren't just running around everywhere. It's fairly rare. Oh, I kind of feel like I have to. But I want to talk about the funniest stuff. This bitch is ruining my day. Plaintiff filed a complaint in the court on December 21. The defendant was served the complaint on February 13. Although the complaint utilizes the court's form Equal Opportunities Employment Discrimination complaint, it also includes 3 inserted pages, all apparently paragraph 6, yet asserting 3 separately identified claims, as well as a request for relief. Don't care about any of that. Okay. I said above, she filed a charge. Both claims 1 and 2 of the complaint assert that the plaintiff was subjected to discrimination on the basis of color, religion, sex, or national origin. One problem here is that claims 1 and 2 are brought pursuant to the ADA, section Title 42, Section 12101, which prohibits discrimination solely on the basis of disability. Even if one assumes the complaint intends to the claims to be asserted under Title 7, which does prohibit discrimination on these bases, they would still fail because the plaintiff did not exhaust her administrative remedies as to any purported discrimination based on color, religion, sex, or national origin. Indeed, not only did the charge fail to expressly invoke Title 7 on the basis of color, religion, sex, or national origin, it did not even mention those characteristics. As such, the plaintiff has failed to exhaust any such claims and may not proceed on them now in this court. So basically, they're saying she didn't have it. She acted pro se. She didn't draft it herself. So the document itself, the pleading itself, is fatally flawed, which I'm inclined to agree with. Complaint alleges the plaintiff filed charges with the Federal Equal Opportunity Commission regarding the defendant's alleged discriminatory conduct on 12/12/2022. The complaint, however, also alleges the plaintiff was subjected to alleged discrimination between 2021 and 2023. In particular, the complaint alleges the plaintiff was held back, remaining on the same level of the ladder for the past 3 years and 3 months with no growth opportunity, and blocked from having any equal employment opportunities as of September 23. Reading the complaint with the benefit of inference, these allegations suggest that the plaintiff believes she was denied a promotion and/or promotions on some discriminatory basis. As a pure matter of chronology, though, the plaintiff cannot have complained on December 13, 2022 about any denial of promotion that had yet to occur, nor any alleged denial of a promotion which had yet to occur be sufficiently related to the plaintiff's charge that it should not be considered within its scope. As a matter of law, the denial of a promotion is a discrete act subject to its own limitation periods for the filing of a charge. No shit. Did she not hear taser, taser, taser? That's bad. Jury of your peers is supposed to be a random sampling of sovereign fellow citizens from the community of US law. Today, however, jury selection via previous tort has messed up jury selection. Okay. It's a frivolous suit as it contains a race claim that shouldn't even come into consideration. I'm inclined to agree with you on that. And she's messed up exactly which title she's supposed to be suing under. No personal attacks intended if you feel they exist in your own reality, attacking your subconscious. Pretty much is what it boils down to. Where are we? Plaintiff can only file a charge to cover discrete acts that occurred within the appropriate time frame, so they're saying she's out of time. Accordingly, any claim for discrimination arising out of the alleged denial of a promotion occurring after December 13, 2012 is required to be the subject of a separate charge, similarly to the extent that the plaintiff is alleging that Google failed to provide her. Basically, they're trying to bury her in technicalities on this. What if boss said, okay, who wants a promotion? Raise your hand. Plaintiff may not proceed under either the ADA or Section 1981 on claims alleging discrimination on the basis of race, disability, and/or gender, because the ADA requires but-for causation. Plaintiff cannot proceed on any claim alleging discrimination against her as an African-American deaf female. Title 1 of the ADA requires a plaintiff show discrimination on the basis of disability. Well, she mentioned deaf. In 2019, in the Ninth Circuit of the Court of Appeals, they held that in light of the Supreme Court decision of Gross and FBL, the phrase "on the basis of disability" indicates but-for causation. Accordingly, it's no longer sufficient for a plaintiff to allege disability discrimination to show that their disability was a motivating factor behind some adverse employment action. Therefore, just as after Gross, the Age Discrimination of Employment Act does not permit claims alleging discrimination based on age combined with some other factor. Okay, so basically the legislation doesn't provide for it. Section 1981 requires but-for causation and cannot proceed on any claim of discrimination against her as a black deaf employee or a black deaf woman. Interesting. Any claims for racial discrimination brought under the ADA or for disability discrimination brought under Title VII should be dismissed for failure to state a claim. Yes. Have the court rule on this. Don't get me wrong. This is a whole... This is some twat waffle that works for Google, going through and pulling out every technicality in the book. But he's not wrong. And this is why you hire a properly competent lawyer to write things for you. Where did... Opposition response to motion, renotice of motion. Okay, the court hasn't ruled on it yet. Last I checked, being of color wasn't a disability of it. Well, I mean, the way that some people act, it sure as shit could be. Woman is on a dock in a wheelchair crying. A young man comes along and asks her what's wrong. She says, I'm so fat and ugly and in this chair I've never been hugged. Oh, I know this one. So he gives her a hug. Then she starts crying and says, I've never been fucked. So he picks her up, throws her in the water and says, now you're fucked. Sorry, Boosh, I got there before you did. All right, moving on. I want to actually talk about some of the stuff that I meant to talk about in the last hour and 10 minutes. Got him. Okay, so Pornhub is suing the European Union over online content rules. 3 of Europe's largest porn companies have challenged the European Union's new obligations under its online content moderation law, the Digital Services Act. According to the new court filings, two people that are familiar with the matter. Pornhub and Strip Chat are contesting that it is a so-called very large online platform facing extra obligations under the DSA, the two people said. Pornhub and Xvideos have both asked the court to pause the rule that requires them to build a detailed public library of ads running on their platform, according to the people. That is hilarious. They're more worried about the ad revenue than they are. Okay. Too many jokes going through my head. Sorry, I'll be quiet. Usually disrupt every chat I'm in. It's not intentional. No, you're fine, dude. And honestly, there's 97 of you watching, people. And there's another 18 over on Rumble. Hello, Rumble. It's an open, free forum. We talk, we chat, we derail. Half the time, half my content comes from people in chat, so don't stress about it. Does that mean someone got stiffed? I think they're worried about people getting stiffed. But more to the point, you know who I want to get stiffed? The person that decided to include a do you want to log in with Google or YouTube or Facebook in Pornhub. No one wants that even remotely connected to any of their other public-facing accounts. If you go to the extent of setting up an Xvid account, I pray for your soul. Derail it harder than a blind person running your trains. The challenges were filed in the EU's General Court in Luxembourg on March 1 for Pornhub and Xvideos, and on February 29 for Strip Chat. What the fuck is Strip Chat? I've never heard of Strip Chat before. The European Commission in December designated the three porn websites as very large online platforms under the DSA. Such platforms, visited by more than 45 million Europeans on average every month, face extra obligations to fight illegal and harmful content, including potentially implementing mechanisms to block minors from accessing its websites. Oh, shit. You got a dark sense of humor. Sense of humor of color, please. Put Dancing Bear into a hub search. Lamau, I'm not going to ask how you know that. As a lawyer that works in civil litigation, occasionally you wind up in some of the seedier areas. And for those of you that are new, over on Locals, like once a month, I do an episode called Kinky Corner where we talk about all the like naughtier side of legal stuff. So, you know, if you it's a good time. A chat room that you must strip in order to participate, Strip Chat. That's what it sounds like. Either that or it's just OnlyFans for, I'm assuming it's just like Chatterbait or whatever. Like, I think it's interesting that the European Commission is the one designating the porn sites to be large platforms. Like, all right. Porn platforms will also have to hand in detailed plans by April 20 about how they limit major risks like violence against women and protection of minors. Breaching the new law can lead to fines of up to 6% of the company's global turnover. Well, Europe, it was nice that you had access to Pornhub for a while. If I was Pornhub, I'd be turning around and shutting down. Not entirely. I just mean I would be closing it off. I would not be. I'd be removing myself from the market in Europe. Fuck them. Literally. Who is here without pants today? I'm wearing cargo shorts. The website's owners had until early March to contest the decisions. ALO, the parent company of Pornhub, confirmed to Politico that it had challenged its designation and a suspension of the rule to disclose details about ads. We believe the European Commission erred in its calculation of our user numbers, said the ALO spokesperson, who asked not to be named for safety reasons. We will always comply with the law, including our obligations under the Digital Services Act, which we have been meticulously preparing for. Excuse me. Someone would have to be crazy to want me to strip on chat. Dude, same. Xvid and Strip Chat did not reply for requests for comment. Pornhub previously said it had 33 million users every month, while Strip Chat said it was visited by nearly 32 million Europeans each month. Xvid's first missed a deadline to reveal its user count, but later revealed it had more than 160 million users in the EU. What? Xvids has more users than Pornhub? I suppose Xvids is a little bit more amateur hour, isn't it? So, Commission spokesperson Johannes Bark said the institution will defend its position in court. The Commission stands fully behind its calculation of the user numbers of Pornhub and Strip Chat, and he said that there is a rule for advertising transparency. The rule for advertising transparency was also key for consumers and businesses. Online retailers Zalando and Amazon have previously challenged their statuses. Amazon obtained a partial victory to pause having to open up about a detailed public ad library. And look, you got access to the cases. Sweet. Do boxes count as pants? So as long as your junk isn't on show, I count you as wearing pants. Euros tend to strip more than the average world population, apparently. So there's that. Where are we? Going from one slightly naughty story to another just because we can. A man's been arrested after robbing Amazing Intimate Essential Store in Northborough in Massachusetts, according to police. A man accused of robbing an adult store in Northborough, Massachusetts last Thursday was arrested hours after negotiations as he hid in a wooded area. The jokes write themselves. There was one more piece of wood in that forest. He was outstanding in his field. We get arrested for nudity in the States. Well, close your blinds. Dildos and butt plugs are getting very expensive, though. True. Police were called at 10:30 p.m. to the Amazing Intimate Essential Store at 15 Belmont Street for a report of robbery. Store clerks confronted the man after he was allegedly trying to steal merchandise. The man allegedly showed up with a gun, threatened the workers, and fled the area. A Northborough officer spotted a man matching the suspect's description walking along Lawrence Street. Despite commands to stop, the man who was not identified fled into the nearby woods. No kilts and windstorms, no. Northborough Police, in coordination with Westborough, Shrewsbury, and Massachusetts State Police. How many freaking police officials had to be involved in this? Are you serious? He stole $500 in bulldoze. Maybe. One of Trump's lawyers was on Zoom. When he got up, he had shorts on. At least he wasn't tubing. Will you share a meme if you send you one? Yeah, sure. I mean, provided it's YouTube safe and appropriate. Utilizing drone units from Northborough and Westborough police departments, as well as the Central Massachusetts Law Enforcement Council, the man was found hiding in the woods near Walmart. Of course, it was Walmart at 200 Otis Street. The man surrendered after several hours of negotiation. Come out with your pants up! And he was taken into custody. At the time of his arrest, he had a replica firearm and a double-edged knife in his possession. Sending anyway, just warning you. Fair. All right, moving on. A criminal justice advocate has been arrested after a human torso has been found in a New York City apartment. A former convict who became a criminal justice reform advocate was arrested on several charges, including murder, after police found a human torso in a Bronx apartment. So what else is new? It's the Bronx. While conducting a welfare check, the gruesome discovery was made on Tuesday just before 8:30 p.m. at Summit Avenue Apartments. At a Summit Avenue apartment. Upon arrival, officers found an unidentified human torso at the location. See, when they say torso, that to me is saying headless, hence unidentified. EMS responded and pronounced the... Oh my God! Officers found an unidentified human torso. EMS pronounced the deceased on the scene. See, I'm sorry. I'm a lawyer. It's sometimes you have to have a very dark sense of humor because you either laugh or you cry at some of the cases. That's funny to me. Yo, Jerry, he hasn't got a head, but I think I feel a pulse. What's this? Me on my way to my physical labor job, knowing there's some Asian chick sitting in her apartment wearing cat's ears with a tentacle dildo shoved in her ass, making way more money than me. Now I'm angry and erect. Boosh. Nothing to lose your head over. I know, right? Oh my God. The victim was identified as Colin Small, The torso was found at Small's apartment. The suspect, Sheldon Johnson, was arrested on Thursday and charged with murder, manslaughter, weapon possession, concealment of a human corpse, and criminal contempt, according to online records. He was arraigned on Thursday and has pled not guilty. Johnson, 48, had previously spent 25 years in prison for attempted murder when he was a high-ranking member of the Bloods. After his release, he began working for the Queen's Defender's Office as a client advocate. The office declined a comment on Friday. He cut himself shaving. Yeah, just lopped a little bit too much off, you know? Did they find the arms in the apartment? God, I hope not. Last name Johnson. Yep. In February, he appeared on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast where he talked about how he turned his life around following his time in prison. One thing I learned really, really quickly when I got to prison is that prison does two things to you. It brings out the best or it brings out the worst. Police officials said that the neighbor reported hearing gunshots coming from Small's apartment and saw a man coming and going from the building multiple times carrying cleaning supplies. If you see something, say something. Who among us has never had a frozen head in their fridge? Oh, wait. Does a head of lettuce count? Head of cabbage? Turn around too fast and went past the 180 degrees. That's not a hoodie that he's wearing. That's what... That's one of the, like, clean room suit things that the CSI techs wear. They must have had to have taken his clothing when they were taking him into custody. That's funny. Oh, actually, that's a good point. I have had a head of a fish in my freezer before. That's a good point. I like you, Kathy. Surveillance video outside the apartment's front door showed a man carrying cleaning supplies and a full black... Why got to get racial about the garbage bag? Law enforcement sources told NBC New York that it was Johnson on surveillance video and officers searched his apartment. They found the victim's head, his arms, and legs in the freezer. I'm sorry, we have confirmation that the EMS had to pronounce a headless, armless, legless torso dead at the scene. That's funny. Dumbass attorney general who realized this guy because he's black is named Alvin Bragg. That should sound familiar. Oh, no shit. Just got in chat. What are we going over? Just the random news for the last couple of days that I haven't had a chance to cover. So there was a recent case here in Long Island, New York, where body parts were strewn in the neighborhood. The investigators are missing the torso. Connections there. No, I actually looked at that a little bit earlier in the week, Scott. They found like arms, and I think they found a head, and yeah, that's... actually, I think someone got arrested for that from memory. It gets better. He wore disguises. Oh, no. Got over the accusation in court of, well, did you check? Did they then have to pronounce each limb deceased? Now I'm imagining an EMS with a headless body. I can save him! 1, 2, 3, 4. Staying alive, staying alive. And then as they're doing it, they're getting the blood pumping, and it just starts spurting out of the head of the torso. Just someone get a bucket. You got me with the arms and the legs, none of those in my freezer. Well, there you go. What if the world had a no murder day where even physicians took the day off? Don't know that it'd ever happen. Arrested and released. Oh, they released him. Hope this article has the surveillance photos. It's hilarious. Dude's in a blonde wig. Oh, the medical examiner will determine Small's cause of death. I can give you a hint. Johnson's being held without bail. His attorney cannot be reached for comment on Friday. Please tell me there's...
Reporters showing up for a man accused of a gruesome crime. 48-year-old Sheldon Johnson charged with murdering a man and then dismembering his body.
No, I know, dude. I'm just
Earlier today, Johnson declared his innocence to reporters as he was led away in handcuffs. The charges are shocking considering what he is now most well known for. That's Johnson appearing on the popular Joe Rogan podcast.
I'm assuming you guys have
about
audio.
his efforts to reform himself and help other kids detach themselves from gang life. It's a job he's uniquely qualified for after spending 25 years.
The annoying thing is, Bush, I know what why they have to do that, because the head and the limbs could have been removed post-mortem. if they just happen to be, I don't know, a gunshot to his chest, like directly above his heart, and there's like you can tell when the head's removed or the limbs are removed when it's post-mortem. So I get it. Oh, and you have audio? Excellent.
Years in prison for attempted murder as a high-ranking member of the Bloods gang. But police say this is also him here on Summit Avenue Tuesday night, carrying cleaning supplies and a full black garbage bag going in and out of this building. Police were called to apartment 6G after a neighbor heard gunshots and saw Johnson in and out of the apartment. She told the building super.
My gut feeling was like, this is not good. I've been a super for almost 20 to 30 years, and that's not normal behavior.
When police entered the apartment, they found a man's torso and 2 feet in a bin. Law enforcement sources say after seeing Johnson on surveillance footage, they searched his apartment and found the victim's legs, arms, and head in the freezer.
That's very disturbing.
Yeah.
It makes you want to move real quick.
Police say the victim is 44-year-old Colin Small.
Depending on how you feel about the afterlife, you may be haunted by a foot.
Prosecutors say Johnson tried to disguise himself with the victim's clothing and a blonde wig at one point. Folks in the neighborhood shocked to hear that a man who had worked so hard to turn his life around, even working with the Queen's Defender's Office, might have fallen back to his old ways in a very violent fashion.
Yes, he was turning his stuff around and stuff like that. But remember, you know, we're creatures of
As if they're going to, Boosh. That would be against the narrative.
habit. So whatever happened in his violent past probably crept back up. And
I'd say they were probably in peace.
Sources say Johnson and the victim knew each other from prison, and this dispute might have been related to that. Johnson was remanded. His attorney and the Queen's defenders had no comment. Reporting from Bronx Criminal Court, Ida Siegel, today. In New York.
Oh, I'm just giving her 5 seconds. Oh, God, that's really bad. That is really bad. Haunted but hid dick. I mean, look, as bad as this sounds, like, innocent till proven guilty. It's not a good look for him, though. Like, hid the penis in the cigar box. What was the link between that 21 male and what was the link between that 21-year-old male killer that killed the jogger lady in Ballarat? I've specifically stayed away from that case, I'll be perfectly honest. Yeah, it's a little close to home. I'm going to read those last 2 comments out loud. Oh, really? Really? What'd you say? What'd you say? Now I'm curious. Trigonometry applied to 5G warfare. Is this a tangential threat to Joe Rogan? That's how the CIA works. No shit. Dude, he was way guilty for horrible stuff. He should never should have been let out. Okay. I'm good with that. I'm fine with that. All right, where are we? Got that one. You know what? I'll save the kids overdosing on melatonin. We can talk about that another day. Driver deliberately crashed into cars that he thought were being driven badly. A man has been jailed for deliberately ramming cars at speeds of 130 miles an hour while high. I should hope he was high. Gavin Bathurst Shaw Binning was on a cocktail of cocaine, cannabis, and alcohol when he drove his silver BMW 125 like an absolute lunatic on the M3. Viewing himself as an enforcer of good driving, he deliberately crashed into what he considered bad drivers during a 30-mile rampage on a busy motorway before he was arrested. He shunted the backs of 9 cars during a half-hour spree of destruction, after which he punched the air triumphant. Oh, that's bad. What did I say? 130 miles an hour. No, that's ridiculous for kilometers. Hang on. Where are we? On 130. So he was doing 210 kilometers an hour. Damn. Bathurst Shaw Binning even tried to grab or damage the wing mirror of a car, according to one witness. Prosecutor Jane Terry said the motorway was closed for an hour, which I feel is quite short given the trail that Mr. Bathurst Shaw Binning left behind him. One of his targets was a mother of 3 driving her Tesla towards the M3 around 5:15 p.m. when he hit the car up to 8 times on June 16 last year. He's doing 100 miles an hour and thinks others are driving badly. Yep. One of his got that. Miss Terry said she felt an impact on the rear of her car. She described seeing the silver BMW behind her. He was repeatedly, deliberately ramming the rear of her vehicle. Hang on. Oh, no, that's the prosecutor saying about the driver. She pulled into the middle lane in an attempt to get away from him, but he followed her and rammed her again. Ramming speed! The woman pulled her Tesla onto the hard shoulder and the silver BMW got away. Bathershaw Binning told police his rampage was a once-in-a-lifetime moment after years of bad driving of other people through tailgating, lane hogging, and driving slow. He added, I wanted to open up, everyone else keeping the outside lane clear. That's not great. Judge Angela Morris described it as pandemonium on the busy motorway in rush hour. Another driver said he'd never seen such dangerous substandard driving. The incident near Junction 2 on the motorway near Chertsey, Surrey, after Bathershaw Binning, who'd been drinking beer, decided he wanted to get some cigarettes while at a friend's house. During the rampage, which caused the motorway to queue up for 6 miles, he was seen tailgating cars, swerving between lanes, and undertaking other vehicles, according to a witness. The prosecutor told the court he described the defendant as being to be driving like an absolute lunatic, and he was shocked that he didn't kill anyone. One driver, Lee Toswell, thought that he was about to die when Bathershaw Binning crashed into the back of his vehicle, which spun him around to face oncoming traffic. Just call him BS Binning. I like that. Miss Terry told the court that he ended up on the hard shoulder. He described a sudden pain in his neck and in his head. Witnesses saw BS shaking his fists in the air and jumping up and down and shouting while looking at the aftermath of the destruction. One of the witnesses, Abby Baker, said he then climbed into her vehicle saying, we need to go and see Charlie. She described him as being incoherent and off his face. He was targeting those whose standard of driving did not meet his expectations. He sees himself as some kind of enforcer of good driving, only targeted those who he considered to be driving badly. On an M3, so he's a super arsehat. No, M3 is in the motorway 3. It's one of the major motorways in England. We have an M3 here as well, but not quite as badly used. Where are we? BS, a former technician at a multinational defense and aviation company in Middlesex, pled guilty to 1 count of dangerous driving and 4 counts of causing criminal damage by driving recklessly. What the fuck? He hit 9 different people, multiple times, allegedly, and he had 1 count of dangerous driving and 4 counts of criminal damage. By my estimates, that's at least, 4 counts less than it should be? The fuck? Robbing is racing. I've jammed a girl from behind over and over again, didn't even get a ticket. Just did what I always thought about, and reality set in. Well, there you go. Where are we? Oh, yeah, this one needs a trigger warning. Hang on. An Ohio Chick-Fil-A restaurant owner has been arrested after driving 400 miles in order to have sex with a 15-year-old and leaving his underwear in a garbage can when he was caught in the home by the teen's parents. Stacey Lee Austin, 49, made the drive on March 5 from Belmont, Ohio to Rowan County in North Carolina, police said. According to the local sheriff's office, he's been making contact with the child via social media and made plans to pick her up. When he arrived at the teen's home and allegedly performed sexual activities with them. According to the local sheriff's office, he'd been making contact via social media and made plans to pick her up. He arrived at the home and was allegedly found performing acts. He was then caught in the home by the teen's parents. Authorities arrived at the home to find his underwear in a trash can in the bathroom of the home. The eyes. It's always in the eyes. There's lawyer math for you. I kind of feel like we know him from somewhere. He looks familiar to me. Is there a streamer that I'm thinking of that looks familiar? Why drag Chick-Fil-A in this? Yes, it's his job, but why? Officers eventually questioned him and he admitted to engaging in sexual activities with the child. He then said he was nervous about losing a Chick-fil-A franchise, which he has run in St. Clairsville for the past 4 years. The ability to own Chick-fil-A is notoriously difficult, with less than 0.5% of applicants approved by the chicken giant. Candidates go through a rigorous process that features interviews with the applicant, their friends, families, and business partners, and then take a multi-week training course. process. They are then also asked to participate on a day-to-day basis. Participate on a day-to-day basis of running their franchise. Chick-fil-A said in a statement about Austin, "We have zero tolerance for this type of serious conduct alleged." Stacey Austin is currently an independent franchise owner, but as the investigation and legal process continues, he will not be present in the restaurant, they added. He was charged with a statutory sex offense with a child, according to officials. I don't know what it is about this one. This one just makes me feel a little bit icky. I don't know why. Anyway. One Ohio story to another. Weekend at Bernie's officially premieres in Ohio after two women propped up a man's corpse in their vehicle and withdrew money from the dead man's bank account before dropping the 80-year-old's body off at a hospital emergency room. Prosecutors this week charged Lorene Biafarello, 55, and Karen Caspum, 63, with theft and gross abuse of a corpse, both felonies in connection with their alleged activities following the death of Douglas Lehman. According to police, the two women were not related to Lehman, but lived with him at his home in Ashtabula, a city about 50 miles from Cleveland. Caspum was reportedly Lehman's girlfriend for the past several years. Cops say that Farello and Caspum, with the help of a third individual, removed his corpse from the residence on Monday and placed the body in the front of the passenger seat of his car, then headed to a nearby bank drive-through window. Oh my God, some poor bastard at the bank window sitting there going, "That guy looks a little stiff to you?" Well, yeah, there's two chicks in the car. Of course he looks a little stiff. No, there's something else about him. The bank, police say, had previously allowed the women to withdraw money from his account as long as he was accompanying them. On March 4, a teller apparently was unaware that he was dead when the women pulled up and successfully took out $900. Investigators charged the women placed Lehman in the vehicle in such a manner that he would be visible to the bank staff in order to make the withdrawal. They then drove to the Ashtabula County Medical Center where they dropped off his body and departed without providing any information about the man or themselves. Police subsequently identified the duo and questioned them about the bizarre incident. That's a brilliant idea. Let's get some takeaway. Who even uses drive-through banks anymore? It's a good question. Remember when the world wasn't weird? Nope. And that's what keeps me in a job on YouTube. So thank you to the 90 of you still watching. Maybe just see whether or not you've hit the like button. Double check if you're still subscribed. The women said that Lehman had died in his home. Oh, you know I've got her. You know I've got her. What's this one about? He died in his home. His cause of death is under investigation, officials said. Farello left and Caspum. That was the girlfriend. That one's the girlfriend. Are they related to Lynette? I doubt it. According to court records, Farello's rap sheet involves convictions for reckless assault, possession of drug paraphernalia, criminal trespass, driving under the influence, theft, and attempted possession of drugs. She was arrested in 2022 for possession of fentanyl, but her disposition in that case is not available. The girlfriend, Caspar, has previously been convicted of theft, soliciting, criminal trespass, receiving stolen property, possession of drug paraphernalia, and attempted drug abuse. Where are these rap sheets? Because I had them open. Hang on. Okay, for immediate release from the city of Ashtabula police, shortly after 5 p.m. on Monday, the police department responded to a call from the medical center of a deceased elderly man who was dropped off at their facility by two unidentified females. The females reportedly left shortly after their arrival without providing any information about the man or themselves. A few hours later, one of the females contacted ACMC and gave them some information about the deceased man, who was later positively identified as Douglas Lehman, aged 80. Officers responded to his residence and made contact with the two females identified as Lorene Farello and Karen Caspum. Having an opportunity to interview them at the home, investigators obtained information as to what had transpired. It is alleged that the two women found him earlier in the day dead inside his residence where they'd both been residing. It's also alleged that with the help of a third individual, they placed him into the front seat of his car and then drove to the bank where they withdrew an undisclosed amount of money from his account. It is further alleged that Mr. Lehman was placed in the vehicle in such a manner that he would be visible to bank staff in order to make the withdrawal. The women then proceeded to ACMC shortly thereafter, where his body was left with staff at the facility. The two women have been charged with gross abuse of a corpse and were arraigned at the court. Other charges are under review and may be forthcoming. That's funny. How does it feel to be streaming at midnight in the US? Probably won't happen too frequently moving forward, I'll be honest. just because this is the middle of my day. So I'm quite sure how it'll go, but we'll see. Okay, anyway, moving on. That's the rap sheet. No, that's the complaint. Okay, what's this thing about? Oh, yeah, no, that's all right. I've already covered that one. Sorry, guys. No strip club today. As it turns out, I covered that one last week. All right, moving on. This one's just as funny, though. A woman has died after a Brazilian butt lift procedure performed by a Miami doctor who wasn't allowed to operate according to a lawsuit. A Tennessee mother of 5 has died after her Brazilian butt lift performed by a Miami doctor was allegedly not allowed to operate on patients according to a lawsuit the family has filed. I regret saying this was just as funny. Erica Russell, 33. I didn't realize she died. Erica Russell, 33, traveled to the Seduction Cosmetic Center facility in Coral Gables, Florida, in June 21 to undergo the cosmetic procedure. During the procedure, her doctor, John Sampson, punctured her liver, her bladder, and her intestines with a cannula. What the fuck? How? Tube primarily used for removing fluid from the body, the lawsuit filed on Monday said. A little 2 hours after the procedure began, she went into cardiac arrest and died. Brazilian butt lift is the deadliest cosmetic procedure in the world. Wait, what's that? Key overdose by substances, 2011 to 2021. Damn, fentanyl really took off, didn't it? Whoa! Huh. Thanks for that. I don't know that I'm actually able to show that, but anyway. Happened a few times even in Australia, liposuction cannula perforated organs. What the hell? How? Doner kebab. That's bad. Lawsuit says that a cause of death was determined to be pulmonary fat emboli and bleeding due to liposuction and bilateral gluteal augmentation surgery. Attorneys representing the family said Sampson was not allowed to perform surgical procedures at the facility and alleged that Seduction provided Russell with falsified paperwork stating that he had plastic and cosmetic privileges at the local hospital when he did not. They also accused Seduction of falsely marketing Sampson as a surgeon performing surgery at its facility. Seduction Cosmetic Center Corp and Sampson, both named as defendants in the lawsuit, did not immediately respond to a request for comment on Thursday. Seduction's president and CEO, Gretel Jardin, could not be reached at phone numbers listed for her. Jardin is not named as a defendant. The suit says that in May 2020, Seduction submitted an application to the Florida Health Department listing Sampson as a designated physician and did not list him as a surgeon. Sampson's responsibilities, according to the suit, were to ensure the facility was complying with all applicable health and safety standards and requirements. In June 2020, Sampson provided the state's health department with a letter stating specifically that he does not perform surgical procedures at the defendant's Seduction's facility in Coral Gable, the lawsuit claims. No shit. It's my one problem with the US. No animal tries to box you. Getting liposuction and shooting it back into your ass is dangerous. What? Since when? It's the main cause of death in BBL surgeries. No shit, really? What's the point in having an ass that wide when you have to purchase 2 plane tickets to fly? Yeah, either that or then you start complaining that the hallways in hotels are too small or that, no, I'm not okay with that. On June 16, 2021, the lawsuit claims that Sampson performed procedures on 7 patients, including Russell. It says his first procedure was at 6:32 a.m. and then he began operating on Russell at 8:31 p.m. following a nearly 14-hour shift. He used to be tits up. I know, right? Since September 22, he's been permanently restricted from performing gluteal fat grafting procedures and serving as a designated physician of officer at a surgery center, regulated by the health department according to an order that the health department issued in a disciplinary case. Russell's attorney said the department's decision was a very small step in the right direction. We should not accept this type of conduct in our community. Our firm looks forward to moving this case forward and holding these defendants accountable for their actions. A Brazilian butt lift, or BBL, is a procedure in which the doctor transfers fat from a patient's stomach, hips, lower back, or thighs into the patient's butt. So you mean I can lose the stomach if I agree to have it put in my butt? That actually makes more sense, though, if they're doing liposuction around the stomach and then shooting it into your ass. That makes more sense. I was trying to work out how you puncture the liver. Most important question, how are they wiping? Death rates 1 in 2,000 to 1 in 6,000. Are you serious? For anyone that doesn't know, Burberry's is reasonably knowledgeable in the area. I ordered. Boom, 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 boom. I forget how good some of these are. I must go now. My planet needs me. Oh. Okay, fingers crossed I'm back. I was checking the audio. I think people could hear me during the video anyway. For anyone that's new, the strange things from Twitter are what I play. I've got like 7 or 8 of them. If there's technical difficulties, so that you continue to be entertained. I'm good. Excellent. All right. Excuse me for the burp. Sincere apologies. Moving on, because you feel like that, Panda. Yeah, sometimes so do I. All right. He protested in a clown suit outside a restaurateur's home. The owner pulled a gun on him. It's 11:45 on a Tuesday morning, and a 53-year-old in a rainbow wig and a multi-patterned clown suit with a Nikon camera around his neck, Nikon, is busily posting leaflets on palm trees and poles on a wide street in Hancock Park. Then an older man steps out of a nearby house and walks towards him with a long, double-barreled gun. This is what you get for not sharing my graph. In the ensuing minutes, one of the men would end up on the ground, the other in handcuffs. This is the story of how things got to that point. Mark Gallagher is a professional protester. He's been practicing his craft since around 2006 when he vented outrage against the Roman Catholic Church outside churches in Pomona, Orange County, and downtown Los Angeles. He had a personal stake in that one, given that he'd been essayed by a priest allegedly when he was a child, he said. Since then, well, there goes the monetization on this video. Since then, clients have hired him to name and shame employers and businesses in various fields: food service, the garment industry, construction workers, etc. Recently, he was hired by former workers of Real Food Daily, a vegan restaurant with 2 locations, one in Pasadena, the other one in West Hollywood. The organic vegan restaurants are owned and managed by Paul Boecher, a Hancock Park resident who has run restaurants with his daughter Adeline Hobbs, including a Silver Lake vegan spot that they briefly operated called Junkyard Dog. I think I can tell the joke this time around because it's appropriate. A vegan and a priest jump off of a cliff to see who wins. No, what is it? Vegan and a priest jump off a cliff as a contest. Who wins? Society. It's only appropriate in this case because we're already talking about a vegan and a... But tell you what, how do you know someone's vegan? Don't worry, they'll fucking tell you. Where are we? He was fired by former employees. Numerous employees have been screwed and not paid, he said. Court records show that a former employee of Real Food Daily sued the restaurant in 2023 for allegedly failing to pay her for overtime worked. The employee, Sheridan Covington, said that there was a company policy in place to disproportionately round down the number of hours worked when calculating pay. Covington also claimed that employees had to work through their meal breaks. Sometimes employees would work more than 10 hours in a shift and not be paid overtime. In October, a video by a passing driver captured Gallegos, as he was protesting outside the Pasadena location, wearing the multicolored clown suit he sometimes wore to work and holding a sign saying Real Food Daily refuses to pay vendor. Veganism is an attack on meats. Yep. Vegan restaurants and priests. Where's this going? Straight down. Which is where I'm going. Eat red meat and eat some vegetables, be happy. Exactly. Can't imagine why restaurants are installing kiosks and robots. But after protesting at Real Food Daily's locations for a while, he decided to up the ante. Employees were telling me that they were owed thousands and thousands of dollars, he said. That's why he decided to break with his usual routine of demonstrating outside the businesses and bring the heat to his neighborhood. On January 23, Gallagher's dressed up in a clown outfit and headed over to to the restaurant owner's house. I can't keep doing it. Boecher, on South Plymouth Boulevard. He began to post flyers on poles and palm trees about his alleged mistreatment of his workers. He says he stayed on the sidewalk and did not venture onto Boecher's property. It was pure on the sidewalk, First Amendment rights. No loud music, no yelling. We're following guidelines, especially around the home. You can't disturb the peace, he said. Despite that, Gallagher says I'm just going to call him Butcher. Butcher, which is ironic for a vegan restaurant, came out of his house with a long gun and pointed it directly in his face. I have this man charging towards me with a high-powered rifle. I thought it was a shotgun. And he said he was going to shoot me, kill me, something to that extent. It makes me tremble and shiver to remember. He said, well, maybe you're not cut out to be a professional protester. Yes, I know. My lips stuck together again. It's hot, okay? Soid walk. Just say, Smith, I'm allergic to the consumption of animal-based produce. Are you really? Like, is that legit, or are you just vegan? Got on an elevator with a priest. We were on the ground floor. He asked me if I was going down. See, that could have 2 meanings, though, Kathy. I knew I liked you. Colorophobia, the fear of clowns, vegan priests, and clown garb is beyond terrifying. Sent you a video that helps explain the last story. Thank you. Got to call it with Daylight Savings. Have a great stream. No worries, Stargaze. I appreciate it. And thank you to everyone that stuck around. I mean, Daylight Savings is a bitch. It generally messes with my times anyway. So, I mean, there's a couple of things that are going to fly through, but yeah, I'll probably call it soon anyway, because I've already been going for about a half hour longer than I normally do. Is there any more useless human being than a professional protester? Biden? Where are we? I thought I was dead. I just closed my eyes, he said. Gallagher said that Smith then went inside, came back out, and hit him with a stick, knocking him over. The video from Gallagher's camera shows that Smith approached Gallagher a second time and bumped into him, a time which the lens turns upward, showing only the blue sky. He does not appear to be holding a stick or a gun during the interaction. A neighbor called the police. Another video shot by Gallagher shows Smith I'm just saying Smith because I can't pronounce his name. Walking out of his home with his hands on his head, then backwards towards officers who had blocked off the street. He kneels to the ground in the video so officers can take him into custody. He was arrested on suspicion of assault with a deadly weapon, authorities said, and later released on a $30,000 bond. Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office sent the case to the LA City Attorney's Office to consider for misdemeanor charges against Belcher, although no charges have been filed. The City Attorney's Office did not immediately respond to requests for comment. I protest a lot, but I'm not paid, just saying. Fair enough. It's legit gallbladder issues. Get stones and pulps. Oh, damn. That sucks. I'm very sorry to hear that. Can vegans even eat donuts? I don't think so. Not unless they're made without the binding. There's also alpha-gal syndrome, which is an adverse effect to a tick bite that makes you deathly allergic to red meat. Yes, berries, that is very specific. I've legitimately told my wife, if that happens to me, just don't let me see the shovel coming. Where are we? Filed civil suit to the assault and battery that were made against Gallagher for exercising his First Amendment rights to protest on a public street. He sued Butcher for battery, assault, intentional infliction of emotional distress last month, and his attorney said the key issue was the freedom to peacefully protest. Suit what? Claims Hobbs teamed up with her husband to... Oh, okay. The arrest is the latest legal issue, who, on top of being sued by one employee, is also suing his daughter in Los Angeles Superior Court. He claims she teamed up with her husband to embezzle at least $500,000 over a 6.5-year period. The claim is for more than $1 million in total that may have been stolen. He claimed in the suit filed in September that he became aware of the embezzlement and confronted his daughter and her husband, Thomas Hobbs, who both resigned their position, leaving the teetering business in their wake. Oh, they're vegan, so they taste terrible. Okay. Where are we? Oh, yeah, I got to get through this because we've got the update on Komoriski. Drunk driver accused of killing bride leaving wedding admits she's an alcoholic and an addict in jailhouse phone calls. So she still hasn't learnt the lesson about not talking on the phone to her daddy. Daddy, please save me. I ran somebody over and I killed her on her wedding day. But you have to save me. I did nothing wrong. Why does everything happen to me? The woman accused of plowing a speeding car into a golf cart while drunk and killing a newlywed bride departing her wedding ceremony admitted she is an alcoholic and an addict and gushed over her excitement to spend the holidays with her family in a series of recorded phone calls obtained by the Post. Oh, yeah, by the way, she's getting out, apparently. Having a gallbladder removed, meat isn't an issue, but carbonation of fatty food is. Ouch. Vegan rules prohibit animal fats, so some donuts, depending how made, may be off limits. That sucks. The people are so mean to me online. In calls leading up to her March 1 release from custody, for which she posted a $150,000 bond, Jamie Lee Komorowski, 26, told her sister Kelsey that she had accepted she has no control over alcohol and that it makes her life unmanageable. I consider myself an alcoholic addict because anything that makes me feel different or takes me away from what I'm supposed to be feeling, I used to try to do, she said on December 11. I just didn't think my life had any meaning. I was extremely lonely and didn't get life. I could never just sit down with my thoughts. Her blood alcohol level was triple the legal limit, according to the cops, when she crashed a rented car into a golf cart carrying Samantha Miller, 34, and her new husband, Eric Hutchinson, 36, as the couple left their beachside wedding reception in South Carolina on April 28 last year. Miller died in her wedding dress at the scene on Foley Beach. Hutchinson and two wedding guests with whom they'd been traveling to their hotel sustained serious injuries but survived. During another conversation from the Al Cannon Detention Center in South Carolina, Kormiski, who was released on house arrest while she awaits trial, detailed the top things she wants to do once she's sprung, including a trip to see the Northern Lights in Norway or Finland. She's literally talking about leaving the country prior to her release, and the judge agreed to let her go on home arrest. Motherfucker, what are you thinking? I want to go to a Harry Potter exhibit. We need to do that. You get wands and pretend to be wizards, she said to her brother CJ during a December 6th conversation. You're not allowed to leave the grounds. Don't get me wrong, the grounds of your parents' place is big enough that they could bring the Harry Potter exhibit to you. That's the poor woman that died. For anyone unfamiliar with the case. And here's the bitch that plowed into the... Look at the eyes. Look how plastered she was at the time. In another call a few days later, she told her father Charles that she was also looking forward to some downtime with the family. I just can't wait until we can all watch the History Channel with you again, she said on December 10. We can make popcorn, I'll have ice cream and cake. She has to stay in Charleston County as part of her bail deal. She faces 4 felony charges, including reckless homicide. Prosecutors allege that she was driving drunk in a nearly unconscious state at 65 miles an hour in a 25 zone when she slammed a rented Toyota Camry into the back of the golf cart, carrying the bride, the groom, and 2 wedding guests. She had a blood alcohol level about 3 times the state's legal limit, according to toxicology reports released by South Carolina State Law Enforcement Division. Oh, look, Sled's on the case! Sled is on the case! According to police, she told responding officers, all of a sudden something hit me and repeatedly, I did nothing wrong. Yeah, something hit you. Look at the rear of that golf cart. Bitch. She frequently spoke about her faith and reading the Bible in jailhouse calls. She attended Alcoholics Anonymous meetings in jail and now believes that a higher power that can make things better come out of bad situations, including death. Given she had personal conversations with the sheriff and the district attorney, I think maybe you can consider... maybe someone coached her as to what to say in order to sound like it's okay that she get released. In AA, we talk about how a higher power can stop something bad from happening because once we're given free will and free choice, and that comes with consequences, and he can make good things come from bad situations, she said. Hutchinson, who sustained a brain injury in the crash, previously recalled his new bride's final moments in an interview on Good Morning America. If he was to prevent anything bad from happening, then we wouldn't be people and life wouldn't have no meaning, you know what I mean? I don't know, I just never thought I'd be able to understand why do people get cancer. The last thing I remember is her saying that she wanted the night to never end, he said. Adding the next thing you remember was waking up in hospital asking, where's Sam? That's when my mother told me that there's an incident and that Sam didn't make it, he told ABC. Komarinsky faces a maximum 25 years in prison if convicted. So yeah, there's that. I kind of want to talk about the school telling the student to remove the American flag, but I also want to talk about that one more at length, and I've already gone majorly over time. Where's the other things that I had? Crap. 14-year-old Subway surfer. New York bill will offer $2,600 to newly released prisoners. A new bill in Albany would give people leaving prison around $2,600 to help them get on their feet. Introduced by State Senator Kevin Parker and Assemblyman Eddie Gibbs, the bill would require the money to be doled out over the course of 6 months, with formerly incarcerated individuals to receive about $400 each month. Samara Hayder of the Center for Employment Opportunities, which is backing the bill, says an initiative like this has shown that it can cut down on recidivism by almost 30%, Hayder said. It just helps them get a little bit of breathing room to allow them to focus on the job search, reacclimate to the community. And so we think that will really help an individual's re-entry. What? Help an individual's re-entry home from prison. What the Right now, there are no limitations on how or where the $2,600 can be spent. The New York, crime pays it literally, said State Senator George Borrello. What an absolute joke that is. St. Patrick's Day, no. Uber driver fondling, no. Oh, the decaf coffee. I do need to talk about this. Buzzkill. California could ban decaf coffee or force manufacturers to change recipes under a new bill that outlaws a chemical. California lawmakers are seeking to ban decaffeinated coffee or force companies to change their recipes to remove a chemical linked to cancer. But what isn't linked to cancer these days? The majority of decaffeinated coffees are made using methylene chloride, also found in paint stripper. Yeah, but is this like propylene glycol that's found in almost everything from rat poison to certain forms of sugar? Which is used to remove caffeine from the coffee beans during the manufacturing process. Both the EPA and International Agency for Research on Cancer have labeled methylene chloride as a probable carcinogen. Probable. California causes cancer. After studies linked it to cancer in blood, breast, and other parts of the body. Under new legislation filed by Democrat Assembly member Eloise Reyes, the state would ban decaf coffee produced using the chemical, forcing manufacturers to switch recipes or face a $10,000 fine. It comes after California became the first state in the US to ban 4 candy chemicals linked to cancers and hyperactivity in children. Coffee manufacturers insist the chemical is washed out of the beans after treatment, with any amounts left then evaporating when the beans are heated to 400 degrees Fahrenheit during roasting. But testing by consumer watchdogs has shown that's not the case and that trace amounts can still remain in decaffeinated coffee. Consumer group Clean Label Project found that 10 out of 25 decaf coffee brands that it tested contained the chemical in 2020, with brands including Amazon Fresh and Kroger's Own being the worst offenders. The levels were lower, however, with none exceeding the FDA maximum recommendations as a safe level of 10 parts per million. So you found it present in 10 out of 25, but they all fell below the Federal Drug Administration minimum standard. Sorry, the maximum that you're allowed to contain. So basically, you're just wasting taxpayers' money for the sake of it. And you're taking decaf coffee away from people. Yeah, that's going to end well. That's really going to end well. Oh, good. California and New York focused on the wrong thing still. I was worried for a moment. I know, right? To the communist nation of California, breathing causes cancer and needs to be stopped. California electees are off their rockers just like Betty Crocker. Crazy leftist laws. What's the point of decaf coffee anyway? It's kind of like nicotine patches when you've got to sort of ease yourself off the caffeine. Some people just like the taste too. The bill in California called AB 2066 was introduced to the Assembly last month and will need to pass a vote before being handed to a committee. It also needs to pass another vote in the House, the committee stage, and the vote in the Senate to obtain the signature of Governor Gavin Newsom before it becomes law. If it comes into force, the bill would ban decaf coffees made using the chemical in the state by 2027. Who would benefit most from this? I'm sure someone in the Assembly, someone in the House has shares in a coffee company. That would be my guess. Sometimes you want a 10 p.m. coffee. Coming from a state more concerned about the possibility of cancer over the probability of Hep C while walking through fecal-covered streets. Yep. It's not clear whether the bill would also ban the sale of decaffeinated coffees made outside the method that use methylene chloride. So there you go. Where are we? Octopus farming banned. Yeah, look, I've got some other so I've got some of the really nasty stories, but in order to balance out the roller coaster and just make sure, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave those for another day, I think, until we've got one that so we can have some funny stuff as well, because there's a thing about a mother hiding a child's body after it was mauled by their dog and a few other things, and I just want to try and leave on a happy note. So let's go with this one, and then I'll call it a day. Police officers stunned after pulling over a BMW X5 on the M1 and finding an 11-year-old behind the wheel. Officers in North Yorkshire stopped a BMW X5. I kept reading that as BMX. X5 towing a suspected stolen caravan on Thursday, March 7, and was staggered to find an 11-year-old child at the wheel. At around 3:30 p.m., North Yorkshire police received a call that a caravan had been stolen from a caravan holiday site near Thirsk and was being towed away by a black BMW. In a statement, the force said, "We were able to track down the BMW that was also using cloned registration plates, traveling south on the A1. How the hell did the 11-year-old even get behind that? 45 minutes after the caravan was reported stolen, we stopped the vehicle on the M1 after it left the A1 at Hookmore interchange near Garforth. But nothing prepared us to find the schoolboy at the wheel. A search of the car also revealed equipment typically used by suspects to carry out thefts and a selection of vehicle registration plates. The boy was arrested on suspicion of a number of offenses, including theft, burglary, going equipped for theft, motoring offenses, including dangerous driving. Okay, either this kid is like getting ready to gear up for a major life of crime, he's being set up, or he was very much in the wrong place at the wrong time. BMW of color. You'd say booster seat. The boy was arrested on suspicion. All right, got that. The statement continued. Thanks to the quick work for our skilled roads policing officers, our control room and intelligence team working in the background, the rightful owners have been updated that the caravan has been found. No one was injured during the incident. I would say what's happened is someone has hooked up the BMW to try and steal the caravan, and the kid stole the car. I genuinely think that's probably what's happened. If they release an update on this, I'm going to follow it, because I think this would be freaking hilarious. But anyway, guys, I'm going to call it a day. Thank you to everyone that sent through super chats and memberships. Thank you to Nuclear Acorn, American Dreamer, and Brewer Berries. And as always, remember, you are not a piece of shit. You have value and you do contribute to society. And thank you to everybody that's hit the like and subscribe buttons. And as always, stay healthy, wealthy, and wise. And I'll see you all back here tomorrow. At the usual time, though. Because I work during the day, and this is a public holiday. Right now, it's 4:30 p.m. in the afternoon for me. So we'll be back to the 7-ish p.m. Eastern time. But haven't heard some of the ages the kids up here stealing cars. That doesn't surprise me. Yes, as always, fuck this shit. I'm out. Oh, and remember.
Unfortunately, some members of the media
use their platforms to push their own personal bias. And agenda to control exactly what people think. This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This shit, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out. No thanks. Don't mind me. I'ma just grab my stuff and leave. Excuse me, please. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Nope. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Alright then. I don't know what the fuck just happened, but I don't really care. I'ma get the fuck up out of here. Fuck this shit, I'm out.